Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Playing World of Tanks. I'm AJ, and today we'll be looking at a game that I had in my Leopard 1, which is the German Tier 10 medium tank. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with the Leopard 1. There's days when I love it, and there's days when I hate it. The reason why I hate it more often than not is because I get ammo wrecked frontally in this thing so often that it is ridiculous. I've even considered carrying 2 repair kits instead of 1, but I don't know, for some reason I've just been unwilling to switch. The tank doesn't catch on fire nearly as often as it gets ammo wrecked, so there's always going to be that problem with this tank. If the AMX-30B doesn't get ammo wrecked frontally as often as this thing does, maybe that might become my new favorite tank in the game to try, but up till now I guess I've been willing to put up with its flaws to some extent. The other problem is in close range brawls it doesn't do as well, just because its modules it's a very fragile tank. It has to be played at range, and one of the key things, or one of the main reasons, or how to play this tank well, I should put it, is to be extremely patient in this tank. You cannot be overly aggressive. You can only take shots when they come to you. You should not be taking unnecessary risks in this tank, like the Bad Chat, like any other medium tanks that are extremely fragile, that get no frontal armor whatsoever. I guess its best comparison is the Bad Chat. Like the Bad Chat, you are a very good tank. Towards the end of the game, early on you can support your team to the best of your abilities, and towards the end of the game your mobility makes it so that you can put other tanks at a very advantageous position. And so you have to learn how to be patient in this tank. In World of Tanks especially, there has to be a fine line between being patient and being aggressive, and it's kind of hard to find sometimes. But in this game, hopefully I'll get to show you how to be patient. Now I'm just sitting here just trying to pick shots that come, not wanting to actually overextend myself. I thought I would surely get spotted for firing the tortoise. That's why I backed up, but in fact I didn't. I fire again, but I apparently bounced. So at this point I was getting rather frustrated at bouncing shots at the tortoise. So what I decided was I was going to load heat and hopefully get to pin the tortoise. Now this shot that you see me making here, I could have actually made without perhaps loading heat, but oh well. Now I look behind me just for a second, just to make sure that the enemies aren't forcing their way or muscling their way behind us, and when they're not, I go back to taking shots at the tortoise. Now this was a bad shot because I did not compensate for the fact that the heat rounds on any tank travel a lot slower than the APCR rounds. So I fired kind of behind where I thought he was going to be. Now we're here again. I tried to take out the M46, and I don't know, again, that was a dodgy shot, but I could have made it. Again, there's some disadvantages to loading heat versus APCR, so I go back to loading APCR now. I see the tortoise, but this time, I'm firing APCR, and I aim for his weak spot and pin it rather easily. Now I'm kind of worried about the situation in front of us. I was thinking if the T-54 had moved in earlier, he could have actually helped take out both of the tanks, but he didn't. So what winds up happening is it becomes a 2-on-1 against the other 2 tanks, and they take him out instead. So I come out, and right now I'm just trying to apply pressure to these 2 tanks, try to keep the tortoise alive in front of us. And unfortunately, there's only so many things you can do. I take out the scout tank just because that's one less gun to sort of worry about. I see the M46, and right now I go into third person to sort of see where he was. I take a blind shot where he was going to be, and I managed to take him out. The T-57 comes around and takes out the tortoise. At this point, I kind of like know I need to help the T-57, and so I come down the hill and I sort of like try to get behind him. Now this was a very bad shot. If I had aimed more, perhaps I could have made that pen, but it has the desired effect where the IS-7 actually turns around and starts facing me instead, just because the T-57 needs the time to reload. Now over here, I managed to pen the IS-7, but he managed to pen me. But I know that my reload is way faster than his, so I put another shot into him, tracking him in place, and then I go back down. So there's the one thing that you have to keep in mind is always no reloads. There's some mods that will help you to like they pull up like the reloads tanks journey with like without vents and stuff like that, or with vents and rammer or the usual things. So that could help you accurately gauge whether you can put 2 shots instead of 1. So I don't use those anymore. I used to use there's like a little pop-up screen that shows you how much what is the average reload for, let's say, a T-57 and stuff like that. Now I come around and try to help the IS-7 with who's my friend with the E-100. Over here I come around, fire at the E-100 on the move, and I know that one of the other 2 tanks will be able to take him out. Now here, like, it seemed very promising. It seemed like we were gonna win until this 183 just came out of nowhere. I tried to put a shot in the Pershing through the wall, but unfortunately the wall was not breakable or collapsible. At this point, I make a rather dodgy decision to some extent. I don't know whether I should have left the T-57 with the Pershing, but my train of thought at this point was that I was going to go and kill the RD at the very least, so at least our position becomes a little more assailable here, and hopefully take out the other enemy tanks as well. Now over here I'm trying to figure out where did the Jack Tiger in the middle go. I step on the cab just to sort of like alert the enemy team. I see the Yak Tiger, I back up and fire, but unfortunately I'm unable to pen him or even land a shot close to him. So now I'm just going RD hunting. I know in the general direction that he was in because how the rounds were landing or how people were getting killed. So I just make an educated guess that he was going to be here, and one shot MRX are always lovely on RD. So as soon as I kill the RD, I decide to come around and perhaps take on the Yak Tiger himself, who I thought would be coming in this direction, but apparently I was wrong. I find out here that he actually climbed all the way hill and backed up. I should have taken a snapshot right there, but instincts are to aim in before you fire, so not something that you do easily. Yak Tiger takes out the Yak Panther 2 on our team. In return, the Conch GC manages to take out the Yak Tiger on the enemy team. Now here's where patience and sort of like all the other things come into play. Now I don't know where the FV215B is, but I'm assuming he's going to be here somewhere. Buildings are nice in the sense that even if I'm ambushed, chances are that I can get a building between me and him, unless he's directly facing me, in which case I'm kind of boned in that situation. I can't really do anything. So I decide to gamble and see if it was coming up the path to my right or the path to my left, and he turns out was taking the most direct route to cap. Now here I decided to sandwich myself between the buildings, because the thing is that he can't really he's a very slow tank. He'll be proxy lit before he's able to land a good shot. I come out, put one shot into him, and then I just back around the building, and unfortunately for him, he's not fast enough to do anything about it. Now I'm just watching him in third person view, trying to gauge which direction is he going to go. I move my tank, sort of like try to see if he's paying attention or not, which he is kind of. And so I just go back behind the indestructible building in front of me, which incidentally is a mosque. So, and now we wait. At this point, one of my teammates does alert the Conk GC that he might actually have to relocate to actually get a shot. Now the FP sees the shot miss him. Now that makes him think that the Conk has good shots where he's sitting. Now I could have gone and maybe taken another shot at the FV right there, but I didn't want to risk it. I'm just playing it patiently. I'm only gonna take shots that he gives up, which are pretty obvious. Now again, we're just like playing around in this building right here. I managed to put another shot into him, into the FV, who I don't think correctly estimates like how mobile a leopard is in a very small space. Again, I come out here, I take a snapshot because I actually don't have time to sort of like I take a snapshot because I don't want to give the FV any chance of shooting me. So I'm just playing this as patiently as I can. I'm keeping him within proxy, so he doesn't like get the jump on me, because for him it will be a one shot, and he will kill me. Now I see that the FV sort of like starts pulling forward. I go around, fire, and back off. He fires, he misses. At this point, I was aiming over here, but then I kind of like realized his reload's way too long, and so I come around and take him out.